And we're going to get your right leg a bit in the front with the tip. And what you're going to do is we're going to rotate the hips. So by turning, letting your heel on the floor, and then you rotate again. This time you go as far as you can, do the reverence, and do it again. The idea is to move the bones, so the articulation of the hips between the hips and the leg. Then change legs. Then in the other direction. Let's straighten up again. Feet parallel, shoulder wide. And the first, with elbow, the first strike is a strike of the elbow. Your hips are locked. So you only twist the upper part of the back. And then you go back in the center. And the second, this time, you unlock your hips. And you go as far as you can. And you watch your hand. And you're back in the center. It's a short stroke. And it's a long one again. And so you go switching. All right, back in the center. We keep a little bit large. We'll go a little bit lower on the legs. And we can do circles. So. Yeah, that's fine. Let's be gentle. Let's go nicely. Large circles. And then you're going to make those circles smaller and smaller and faster. Until you reach the smallest position. Then you're going to go with your palms up and reverse direction. And then you go larger and larger. And relax. And now one arm is going down, one arm is going up. Other direction. Relax. Still in position, still low on the legs. Get just the elbows working. At the same time as you get the elbows working, at the wrist. Then change direction. Relax. Let's finish the wrist. Put fingers together. Then in the other direction. All right, let's finish with the neck. So we're standing straight. We're going to say yes. Then straighten up again. I'm going to say no. Straighten up again. This time we keep the neck straight and we're going to say maybe. All right. So I want you to grab your sword, light gloves, mask, a partner, and come back. All right. Come closer. So we're going to start with a very simple exercise, but it shows one principle that we find a lot of time in Wittenwiler's manuscript. There's a lot of indications on the how to steps. So it doesn't tell us much about, it doesn't talk about ages. The notion of indes, for, before, after does not exist in his manuscript. Aslik is not using them. But he's giving us a lot of hints on how to step, how to move, and there is an element that he used a lot, which is retreat. And the first techniques, or the first advice that they give us, is basically you're attacking your opponent. So we're going to start very simply. You're attacking, you're right-handed, you strike above. Your opponent defends himself. From this position, I'm going to retreat with my back foot. And from there, I'm going to strike on the other side. So just to start, that's the first advice that they give us. Strike to your opponent, retreat with your back foot, and strike on the other side. The strike on the other side, I want you to try two versions. The first one is, as I just did, from above, but you could also pull back and strike from below, which is something that we're going to see later a lot of time, because Wittenwiler likes to switch from above to below and below to above, and that's some things we're going to work. So right now, very simple. As an attacker, you attack your opponent, strike from above, you withdraw with your back leg, but you stay behind your cross all the time. So when I'm retreating, I'm not doing this. If I do this, I'm dead. I'm not doing this, because if I do this, I'm likely to be dead as well. But I really do this, because if he keeps thrusting, it's the same. I'm still behind mine. I have a small amount of adjustment if I need. But the idea is always stay behind your cross. Always, whatever you're doing. And here's just the first advice. So you strike from above, you retreat by staying behind, and then, you have the space, because again, you reach, you're strong, he's weak, you have mobility, you're able to lose the bind and change side. Give it a try. You do 5 times each, then 5 times you switch roles, and try striking from above and from below with the second one. Va franchement, va chercher sa tête, va chercher son coude. Ouais. J'ai avancé, c'est ça. En fait, s'il fait sa contre-attaque, on va faire d'autres choses. Oui. Là, l'idée est plus, mon adversaire n'a pas réagi, ou justement, typiquement, il s'est défendu de cette manière un peu bête. Il ne sait pas, c'est une parade simple. Je recule, ça me permet de sortir de ce liage, en fait, facilement, et j'y retourne. Ok. Toujours. Sur un coup, on va vraiment tourner, typiquement, on va être vraiment, là, je suis sorti, ma retraite va se faire sur ma nouvelle ligne, et ensuite, et comme, en fait, si tu imagines la distance, on était à un pas complet de distance pour que je puisse t'avoir. Tu n'as pas bougé, donc je suis à la bonne distance. Je recule un petit peu, ça me donne de la marge. Et ça me permet de changer ma ligne facilement et d'aller chercher le coude ou la tête.
Ok.
Si tu vas avec un coup du bas, sous l'aisselle.
Dans ma lecture de cette première pièce, l'idée que j'avais qui rentrait de la pointe.
Non, je pense qu'il reste vraiment... En fait, l'entrée de la pointe, c'est une alternative.
Ah.
C'est qu'on rentre en fait dans... On pourrait se rapprocher d'un tournant.
Oui, d'un tsuken en fait.
En fait, pour moi, le tsuken, c'est j'ai un liage, je change de côté parce que je ne suis pas menacé.
Okay.
Mais on peut imaginer à la situation, il m'attaque, ou je l'attaque, pareil. Et cette fois, peut-être, il a donné plus de pointes. Hop.
Ah ouais.
C'est la deuxième phrase, en fait, c'est l'alternative. Okay. Et après, il en donne encore une. Pour moi, on est dans plusieurs solutions. Et on est typiquement on se rapproche, je pense, de la description d'un tournant. Ou en tout cas, quelque chose qui s'en approche de cette même idée du... Voilà. Il le dit, c'est la phrase d'après. Oui. Là, pour l'exercice, l'idée, c'est de jouer en fait sur cette distance. Tu as dû faire un grand pas pour toucher. Tu n'as plus de place pour changer de côté. Tu recules un petit peu. Maintenant, tu as la place, changer ta ligne, faire... Mais en fait, il a l'air, je pense que c'est quelqu'un qui est très mobile. Enfin, c'est une escrime qui demande de bouger beaucoup, d'avancer, d'aller chercher, feinter. Enfin, il a l'air plutôt mobile en tout cas. Halt! So in that first, again, it's a really a first exercise that Wittenwiler gives as a first advice. And I think if I were to give, we have seen this version where I change side. So if I go above, no problem. If I go low, Wittenwiler says, in the book it always says, a lower target, it's always below the armpit. So if you're going for an underblow, then you should target anything below the armpit. And the second sentence, just to answer some question I've seen, is actually an alternative. And now let's imagine my opponent threatened me a little bit more, or maybe I'm here. Then that could be I go straight, I bind, or I'm definitely stronger than my opponent. He parries, or maybe he strikes with a strike, but I'm displacing him, then I keep with my thrust. And I'm pretty sure you'll recognize this one, because you have done it a lot of time. But it's never named, it's not said, it's on our Ott. It just says, displace and thrust straight. Or you say, wind, rotate and thrust. Or pull back and strike from the other side. So it's all again of distance. Then we're not going to go any further on this one. I want to show more examples of what makes a little bit different. One thing we see a lot in the manuscript is movement. Again, I say that he was giving a lot of advice is stepping with your front foot, stepping with your back foot. And same way, if I withdraw, I could withdraw with my back foot, I could withdraw with my front foot, or going sideways. And there is a particular step which is used several times in the manuscript, and it's called the triangle. It comes with little explanation except step in a triangle. And the idea here, we're going to make it simple and see the two possibilities we have. I will be the attacker, and or I could imagine a situation where my opponent is attacking me, and I'm also doing it. Basically, we're doing it at the same time. My opponent is going straight for my head, and I'm not exactly going to do the same. I'm also going to strike at the same time, but at the same time I'm striking, you see he moved more or less in my direction. I'm going to strike cross. At the same time I'm doing this, I'm not going to strike that typical cut from above. So the text says, strike a little bent. So I'm not going to strike along that nice angle, so we end up in the bind where we are, let's say, equal. I'm going to strike with a slightly flatter angle, so that it will end with ease edge on my flat, more or less. I'm putting myself on purpose in a weak situation. So it doesn't matter if he's striking hard or not, I'm putting myself weak. And the idea, if we do it again, you're attacking on me, I'm here. Because he's strong, what's happening? He's doing what we all learn to do. I apply pressure, oh, I'm strong, I keep applying pressure and I go forward. But I step out of the way, I let him apply pressure, because that will free my blade for a cut to his shoulder. Or, if we go exactly the same, maybe I step a little bit narrower, and then I can push at his shoulder. Or, I have an opponent that's very eager to cut at me, and me too. And I'll get the text tell us, get everything, you can cut behind his head, you can cut behind his back, or you can cut behind his legs. If your opponent's very eager, he has the intention of overrunning you, let him go. Go aside. So give it a try. It's the same exercise, so you do it a couple of times.
What is the triangle?
What is a triangle? Good questions. I'm standing here in guard. I'm ready, my opponent is coming. No, let's just demonstrate the footwork. Point of the triangle. I finish the triangle. I strike, and I finish. But because you do all of that in one movement, you have to imagine this 3 points here. And I'm stepping in a triangle here, except that I'm not taking the time to stop here. I will immediately follow my step. So if you want to practice just...
It's not, you are not forced to cross the legs. You can also step to the other side, but there are always three steps.
At the end, it's always this, and then you finish. That's the idea.
And that you can do it the other side.
Triangle is mostly described in this direction. But yeah, obviously you can do it. It's the same. So if you want, before we can just have it a quick try. Keep your weapons or drop it, doesn't matter. The idea is you're in guard, and it's really a step. So you're really alone, you're crossing your legs. The tip stays in a direction where you want to go, and then you're going to finish your step. So if I'm starting on this line here in this direction, while I'm stepping, I'm still targeting my opponents. Then I finish my step, and I'm still targeting my opponents. But obviously, I change almost 90 degrees. Huh?
You was left in front.
Yes, I'm left in front. I step.
So you always cross.
Yes.
Okay. Because you can go to this.
But here's really the idea. I'm entering, and I'm loading, unloading.
The triangle step, you can also use it without crossing.
But here, I'm thinking it's across. All right, let's try with your, so get your partner. Laurent, s'il te plaît. So again, the idea here is I'm the attacker. I'm going to decide. what the intention, how much intention I want to put in it. As a defender, you're going to defend yourself by striking a cut also from above. So we're basically both striking. The defender is also coming at me, so we're shortening the distance. And at the same time, I'm going to go slightly bent so that I'm end up a little bit flat compared to his blade. And then I'll let myself bend weak so that he drops his point towards the ground while I'm finishing my step. And here you can go more sideways if you wish to cut. It's a matter of distance. It's a matter of how much your opponent step at you, how much you step. Or you can try to stick closer to your opponent, and then you're going to use this twisting movement here to really push hard. The text says ram, and we had a lot of discussion on that verb itself. And it could mean destroy, but it could also mean really push hard on his shoulder. And you will see in this position, if you're really coming close to your opponent, you actually have a lot of, it's your body mass basically that is pushing on the shoulder.
What happens if you're very light and he's very heavy, you cannot push him?
Then you should have made a better choice before. But I'll be surprised. Get maybe a heavyweight opponent and give it a try. You're striking at me. Yeah, I'm here. At the end, I agree. He's heavyweight. I haven't pushed him much. I fully agree. I pushed enough that this blade is not bothering me and I'm finishing. But maybe I also know a piece of meat like that. Maybe take the blade just for. I typically know. Maybe he's a buffalo. He's all muscles. He's hungry. He's going to cut at me with all he can. Please do. Run at me. Rush me. I'm going to cut in the weak parts. So that's 3 distances. I want you to give a try. So let's say 10 times each side. So you got time to try the 3 distances and then switch roles. En fait, c'est vraiment dans ta frappe au moment où tu sais qu'il part, que tu as choisi, au lieu de faire ce pas-là, tu as fait ça. En fait, tu frappes ton coup du haut, mais sauf qu'au lieu de suivre la belle frappe ici, tu vas le mettre un peu plus horizontal. Tu changes pas tes tranchants, hein, s'il ne devait pas parer, mais comme j'ai mis un peu horizontal, plus horizontal que lui, ben, en fait, mécaniquement, je me mets dans une position un peu plus faible. Et ça m'arrange. Comme ça, je ne dépends pas de lui.
Toi, tu donnes ce plat-là.
Ben, en fait, moi, je frappe un coup du haut. Sauf qu'au lieu de le frapper plus vertical, je vais le frapper un peu plus horizontal, c'est tout. Pour vraiment donner... Après, si tu essayes avec des grands pas comme ça, tu devrais vraiment pouvoir arriver derrière lui. Derrière. Après, voilà, il faut que les deux aient avancé. Enfin, il y a une volonté, typiquement, c'est parce qu'on va chercher, peut-être qu'il a envie de frapper pour pouvoir ensuite rentrer en lutte. Ouais. Et du coup, tu sors, et c'est là que tu vas arriver ici. Avec ton triangle, tu vas typiquement arriver là, et tu le finis là. Voilà. Il faut finir ton pas.
pièce sur le premier mouvement, j'arrive.
Voilà, il faut l'amener la pointe vers l'adversaire.
C'est ça. Le truc, c'est vraiment de ne pas se retrouver à faire ça. Il ne faut surtout pas se retrouver à tout tordre.
Non, tu dois rester stable, on est là. Et en fait, plus tu descends sur les jambes, plus c'est facile.
Ouais. On essaye de l'autre côté.
Alors, ça ne change pas, hein. Si vous essayez de l'autre côté, en fait, c'est du coup, là, je commence à droite, et mon pas dans le triangle, il ne change pas. Voilà. En fait, c'est le fait de croiser qui permet de décroiser, et c'est ça qui...
On essaye de voir des différentes petites études.
Tu vois, quand tu es prêt comme ça,
Oui, je peux pousser. Et du coup, typiquement, la situation de elle me pousse, elle marche pas très bien, forcément. Mais du coup, on se disait, au lieu de pousser, tu rentres dedans et coup de pommeau.
après, c'est les
coutillon.
suites, encore une fois. Après, tout le reste, c'est une continuité de...
C'est ça.
C'est pas parce que ça marche pas pile celui-là. En fait, l'intérêt d'arriver là, c'est que normalement,
Oui, tu as du contact.
on a quand même du contact. Je le bouscule assez pour...
Ouais.
Par exemple.
D'accord.
C'est toujours...
On a essayé ça, des coups de pommeau, comment on peut rentrer le
Ouais, c'est ce que j'essaie de faire en fait. J'ai l'impression. Tu passes bien en suspension après avoir fait ta croix.
Oui.
Oui, c'est ça.
En fait, tu acceptes, tu es faible, tu le laisses faire. Ça te permet de t'échapper et de revenir. Halt! Come again to me. So, we're going to do one last with the longsword. Another example of what Wittenwiler likes to do. There is a blow that is described as Gassenhau, as a street or the Hallehu. So it's how to keep a small area busy. Or the way the text describes it is basically strike, make a row of strikes to come to your opponent. So as a way maybe to come closer to someone while being safe. Maybe I'm further away and I could be striking cross like this, or I could be striking crosses. At the end, the idea is you occupy the space in front of you, which allows you to come close to your opponent and start doing the things you actually plan to do. And just to give, for the sake of a small exercise, my adversary is standing, the defender is standing exactly like Laurent, staying with the left foot forward. And I'm getting close. Let's say I was in a low transitions. I'm getting ready, and I want to make my opponents believe in something. I strike from below, and then I strike from above. And my opponent is not going to defend. He's going to think, I got space. He's going to let me go through. I miss. What happens now? He's going to do a pursuit. He's going to do a nachreißen. I strike. I was a bit short. I missed him immediately from the other side because he's cutting at me. We all know this one. We have seen nachreißen, pursuit. What Wittenwiler likes to do is to pursue the pursuit. And he used a lot of time the word nachreißen. He used it a lot of times in several different techniques. And sometimes, I think, he used it as, just I described, Laurent is pursuing me because I was striking, I strike, I miss, he's pursuing me. But then he described it also as what to do when someone is pursuing you. And this is what we're going to try. We can imagine that situation. We can start it simple. I strike, my opponents avoid me, and he's going to strike again. I'm going to, the text says, step with your back leg into the crown. The crown being this. I don't see any things describing it like this. So a lot of time also Wittenwiler says when he mentions the crown, that you should thrust in the crown. And understand it as when my opponent is attacking me, and I'm doing this into the crown, because here I'm giving him an impulse that he could be using to come back at me. But rather, in this position, I'm going to thrust up into the crown. So there is no longer any impulse. If I give an impulse, I'm giving it upward, where it's going to come again. And from this position, I'm going to rotate and cut that elbow. So again, we can imagine that situation. I'm coming here, my opponent see me coming, he say, oh, I miss. I'm defending by stepping aside, slightly forward into the crown. The crown is above my head, in front of my head. And when I'm here, I don't need to move anymore. I just have to rotate my hips. And I'm ready for a strike to the elbow. So let's give a first try at that a couple of times. Be gentle, because your target is the elbow of your partner. So let's go nice. The objective is to understand the dynamic of the movement.
Ça nous emmerde, c'est
Non, tu fais tomber dans la couronne un peu plus tôt que tu avais prévu.
Ok.
Ça ne devrait pas trop t'embêter.
D'accord. Again.
Ah ouais, voilà. En fait, quand tu vas... Hop. Ah, mais if you... I missed, you attack me. I'm stepping here. Et si il était tellement généreux qu'il a cru que j'étais plus loin, je l'ai raté, c'est pas grave. Je fais de façon de le faire. Et il va pas revenir en réalité.
Bah, l'épée, elle est déjà en bas.
Elle est partie. Mais l'idée, c'est vraiment de sortir. Voilà. Et ensuite, un coup du bas.
Pourquoi du bas?
Pourquoi du bas? Parce que regarde, on est pareil, j'ai raté, il m'attaque. Tac. Si je frappe ici, qu'est-ce qui se passe maintenant avec son épée? Je libère la lame. Par contre, si alors, je suis ici, je suis monté, tac. Maintenant, qu'est-ce qu'il peut faire? Il descend? Vas-y, descends. Moi, je peux le suivre.
Ton client sous la lame.
En fait,
La rotation de client, tu dois passer dessus.
non, en fait, ça va. Alors, avec la dynamique, ça se fait naturellement. Avec la bonne dynamique, en fait, ça monte tout seul et ça change.
Ok.
Et si tu l'amènes avec, c'est pas grave en réalité, parce que c'est vrai que tu l'amènes de toute façon, tu viens commencer, tu vas lui nouer les mains. Alors, hop, reviens en arrière. Reviens en arrière dans la couronne.
Reviens dans la couronne comme ça.
Voilà, en fait, quand tu es dans la couronne, cette jambe-là, elle est déjà sur le côté. Tu es déjà sorti de la ligne. Non, non, il est devant. Tu as marché autour. Voilà. Là, tu es dans la couronne, elle est haute. Et maintenant, tu peux aller.
La couronne, elle n'est pas vraiment en face de moi, en fait.
En fait, elle n'est plus vraiment dans le sens, elle n'est pas pile là. Mais en fait, ce que tu as fait, c'est que tu as fait, si tu m'attaques, vas-y, ça. Elle est là, en fait. Elle est devant moi et au-dessus de moi. Mais effectivement, une fois que je suis là,
Par contre, si, comme moi, en fait, mon rêve, c'est que je restais dans la ligne.
voilà, il faut sortir de la ligne. C'est vraiment ça. C'est avec la couronne que tu marches. Avec la couronne, on sort. En fait, j'ai frappé, hop, il revient, tac, je suis sorti. Et maintenant, j'ai marché déjà, c'est ça qui me met à l'abri en fait. Et une fois que je suis là, je peux aller. J'ai juste à tourner manche. C'est pareil.
Vas-y.
Quand je suis frappé, je suis ici. Je marche dans la couronne. C'est-à-dire que en même temps que je monte en couronne, je vais sur le côté. Et une fois que je suis là, je suis à la bonne distance pour faire tout le reste. Et s'il part comme ça, parfait. Hop. Et il insiste. Hop. Hop. Alors, attaque-moi. En fait, quand on va... Vas-y. Je marche avec dans la couronne. C'est quand je suis dans la couronne, j'ai déjà marché sur le côté.
D'accord, tu réceptionnes.
Et ensuite, je vais aller frapper. Voilà, exactement.
Et on avait un problème, je me retrouve avec ces kilos ici.
C'est parce que le rythme n'est pas bon. Parce que tu vas dans la couronne peut-être sans sortir.
Ah, peut-être.
Halte! Revenez, come back.
Comment tu tournes l'épée quand c'est en train? Je suis sur tes doigts là.
Non, t'es pas sur mes doigts. Si on le fait en dynamique, t'es pas sur mes doigts. Si on le fait en dynamique, t'as perdu ton coude.
Ah bon.
Non, non, en dynamique, t'es pas sur mes doigts. Et honnêtement, je m'en fiche que tu sois sur mes doigts parce que tu n'as aucun effort de coupe. So, a couple of precision on that. So, it's important with it that when my opponent, I missed, my opponent is attacking me, I'm stepping in the crown. So, again, I'm here. And from this position, I'm already in the right distance. I know I'm in the right distance because I step, he step, I step, we're close. So I just need to rotate. And the crown is above, so by doing this, I hands up, really on the elbow. Yes, he might be resting right now on my finger, but if you do it a little bit faster, in fact, there is impulse going up. But, and another critical precision, the target, I really do an undercut for this, and there is a reason for that. It's, again, you're attacking me, I'm doing this. If I were to go, like I've saw several of you doing, to his head, yes, I might get the head, but this one is likely to be free, and all my under areas is fully free. He's not dead yet, and he has the opportunity to do something. But if we're in the same position, and this time I went down to the cut, then I'm covering a bigger area. If he's pushing, then if he's changing, because he wants still to get me from below, it's a very short distance for me to keep protecting. And obviously, when I've had him here, I'm not going to stay. If I withdraw behind my cross, I'm going to do this. It has actually a name. This is the reversed crown. So we have the crown, and we have the reverse crown. So the guard stays the same. We keep it at the same position, but one will stop everything coming from above, and this one will stop everything coming from below. So just to give a final one, it's the same exercise. But this time, Laurent really likes his elbow. He would like to keep it safe. He's protecting himself, he's locked. I had the twist of my hips to strike from below. I have a strike of my hips to strike. Again, I was striking high, low, high again. And it's all the rotation of the hips, and is all my left hand working. Give it a quick try.
you try to half sort from them?
Text doesn't mention anything about a half sword. So I could imagine opportunities, but text doesn't mention anything. The text is all about without armor. That is a statement in the first page, in the starting. I'm going to teach you the longsword without armor and gauntlets.
Okay.
So, which is why I think there might be no need for a hard sword because I'm going to get that elbow.
I'm thinking if they're winding off and coming down and you have to parry across, it puts you in a fairly weak position unless you're doing this. But I was just wondering. By the way, those were veterans' gloves.
Sorry?
Those were veterans' gloves.
What it does with the parry in low part is really, a lot of time what it's doing is really those transitions.
Yeah.
So, and I'm using that either to parry, here protection, but the best way to parry the undercut that we do here would be that reverse crown. Because it brings us in the opposite bind of this one. You know, we would have the upper bind, and we end up in the lower bind, which is the parallel to the upper one, with then the same, I could withdraw, change, I could push, thrust, or I could hang in, which is another one. So he seems to play a lot with this up, low.
Okay, so if he slips off on this, you swap your feet as well.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Alors, plus simple encore. I miss. I'm in a crown. Same movement. I'm rotating. He's defending. Straight. I want to go his shoulder. The trick is to get top of the head or shoulder. The reason behind is, if you go here, I'm no longer behind my cross. I'm in danger, it could go there. But if I'm here, I'm still behind my cross. So I'm safe, whatever he decides to do. If he's smart to defend himself, nice for him. But if I'm here, he defends himself. And then I keep going. C'était l'idée. On ne peut pas oublier, la couronne, on marche avec la couronne. Et là, ensuite, on n'a plus besoin de marcher parce qu'on a la bonne distance. Dessous, dessus. Et dessus, en fait, on va chercher ça. Exactement. Sauf qu'il ne le dit pas. C'est überheben. Le haut levier. C'est ça. Ça ressemble quand même pas mal à un shilao.
Ouais, c'est un schlappen en fait. Enfin,
c'est un peu dans les... En fait, le texte nous dit après de le lever, et puis après tu redescends. Ouais. Et de l'autre côté, il nous dit, si tu le fais de l'autre côté, il y a la même combo avec le même principe de la couronne. Si tu m'attaques, qui va être ici. Cette fois, je démarre avec l'autre pied. Je suis déjà là, et en fait, je vais laisser tomber. Et là, en général, on arrive à prendre. Et il dit, tu le touches 3 fois. La tête, les bras, les mains. Mais c'est plus simple de l'autre côté. Halt! So, come back to me. Laurent? Just a quick explanation on that. What we have seen here, it's in a row of techniques. That is a pursuit. My opponent is pursuing me. I'm pursuing the pursuit. In the crown, from the crown, the text says you can hit whatever targets you want. Here I'm really going, I say I'm going low because I want to be protected, whatever he decides to do. Now my opponents describe here. Here in this, what I'm really trying to stay is, again, I'm trying to stay, like any time, behind my cross. I'm behind my cross. Ideally, I might be even I will be targeting his shoulder on the weapon side, which sounds again quite familiar. Here in the text it says überheben, so high leverage or high lifting. It works obviously on both sides. So it's just one example of that going above, going low, going above that we find in Wittenwiler. There are plenty of other examples. Now, I have two more techniques I want to show you, but I'm not going to show you them with the longsword. We're going to grab our messer for that. So please go and grab your messer. We have a few messers here, so steel against steel, leather against leather. All right, everybody got a weapon? Then come again. In a lot of cases, and the manuscript, when it talks about the longsword, he has a couple of examples, couple of techniques where he says, see the baselard. And then with the baselard, he has a couple of them where he say, hey, just like you did with the sword, do this. And there is even one that we're going to see that basically make reference in one to the other and the other to the first one. So it's a circle reference. So here what we're going to see is another example. It works exactly the same. The text says, in a longsword part, the text says, do like in the baselard. And that's it. Little more explanation. But the baselard says you should do strong against weak, just like in the longsword, to give you an idea. So in a messer, baselard part, the text says, you wait for your opponent to strike at you. So you know he's striking. Yes. And I'm going to strike the same. And we end up in a situation where I have a bind. And my opponent is not going to give up that bind. So he's applying a little bit of pressure. So it's a strong bind here. And I'm going to play weak with my strong by removing my strong and striking reverse. So I'm going to strike him with a reversed hand. Again, I'm getting for the elbow. And the text says, the idea is that I have a strong bind. He's binding strong. This is what I want to have. This is how I end up. Or actually, to be better is applying pressure. I'm giving way to that pressure. And this is what I want to have. And if I need to push a bit more, then I'm going to step with my forward foot. And when I'm here, I have the opportunity to do like with the longsword, as thrust. And this time stepping with the other one. Or I could just, I'm here, I got him here, I withdraw. So the idea is, and maybe it sounds familiar again. In longsword, we have a typical example. How the strike here, there is a strong bind. I'm doing this. Remind you something? It's called duplieren. So you're doubling. Here the idea is I'm not doubling to his head. I'm doubling again to the elbow by playing, he's strong, I'm strong, but I'm playing weak. And I try to step this way. Really going for the hand and the elbow.
When he's strong, he's pushing.
He's applying pressure.
Can you give place if he's go against your arm?
If it happens, then I'm rotating. If he continue, yes, please continue, apply pressure. I remove the pressure by keeping moving. Okay. If I notice pressure on my arms, mean, okay, he wants to slice me, he wants to do a Schnitt, he wants to slice me, then how do you prevent a slice? By removing the point of pressure. So if you realize, I'm here, I'm done it nicely, good, hands over, oh, I see pressure here, then I keep releasing the pressure. At some point, I'm going to convince him to stop. So, give it a try.
ça. Je peux prendre ça? Merci.
Mais je pense qu'avec ça, ça doit marcher.
Je pense que ça marche.
Ça va marcher aussi. Hein. Parce qu'en fait, un baselard, il n'a pas de clou.
Ah ouais.
Mais vas-y, il n'y a pas de souci. J'ai encore un s'il faut. Hein.
Je pense qu'il va falloir que je te prenne parce qu'on a un nombre impair de plastique.
Ah, surtout qu'il y a des gauchers en fait. Tiens, si tu veux. Ah bah, t'as vu le machin, ça va être tout petit. It's reversed end. It's really, no. From a bind, here. Should step at the end. The idea is really when I'm here. When I'm here, it's really I'm stepping. So I can be high. And if he's still able to apply pressure, then I will withdraw. But in reality, you won't apply any pressure. But it's really, it's the strike. Alors, le texte, il nous dit de rester avec la même jambe.
Ah, j'ai pas regardé moi les jambes, j'ai regardé
Non,
les
en fait, il dit vraiment, on a frappé là, tac, et ensuite, je continue à avancer là. Et effectivement, je pense...
Non, mais dis sur la clé, là, j'ai même pas posé aux jambes. Parce qu'on parlait des quillons qui... on va tout gentiment. Si t'es là, si t'apparais, si tu pars là, évidemment, je disais de rester collé.
Idéalement, dans la rotation,
Après,
c'est ça.
Si t'es bien appuyé, quoi. Parce que c'est clair que si tu pars, puis tu pars là, bah, t'as quand même à découvrir.
Mais en fait, on reste dans les quillons. En fait, le but, c'est j'applique une pression.
Ah ouais, non, mais c'est
Si
ça.
je mets pas la pression,
Pour moi, c'est ça, quoi.
voilà.
C'est ça que je disais au début, on croit que ça marche pas. Mais je disais,
Non,
voilà,
en fait-
si l'autre il continue d'appuyer, puis toi,
C'est ça.
tu glisses dedans, tu
Il
tombes sur
retombe,
les quillons.
exactement.
Ouais, c'est ça. C'est ce que j'expliquais. Mais j'ai pas regardé les pieds, quoi. Là, c'était vraiment pour
Mais en fait,
expliquer
c'est à essayer parce qu'en fait, c'est intéressant parce qu'on se crée vraiment une situation de.
C'est vraiment...
C'est ça.
Je mélange les pinceaux.
Vas-y.
Je sais même pas de quel côté partir.
En fait, tu frappes un coup du haut. Donc, tu finis là. Une fois que tu es là, il continue. Apply pressure. Et ça vient là. Non, ça. Voilà. Mais pas sur le côté, vers l'avant. Voilà. Et en fait, il va rester dans tes quillons. Pressure. Yes. And if you notice, okay, it's too much because it slipped, then give way and at some points, bam. But you should not be too far away. We're talking Messer. Presque. Allow me. So we're dealing here. I know he's striking. I'm striking here. And then I'm high. And I'm going this. He's keep applying pressure, so he falls down here. And I step close here because I'm dense. I want to stick everything together. And from now on, I could thrust, I could grab, I could do. But the idea is really to, it's a strike, I know he's striking, I'm here. He's strong, good, thank you for being strong. And if I need, see here I didn't even have to move because he moved. So thanks, I'm good. I got that elbow. And then I could be thrusting, doing other things. Yes. But he doesn't name it. He called it Schlimms, which is a bent how or a curved how.
Okay.
So at least it's my interpretation of Schlimms. It's probably the one technique where I have the most difficulties, and that's maybe the one where I'm least certain.
Ouais. Cool. Chaque fois qu'on se fait, on se fait que des échanges. On fait exactement le même coup tous les deux. Et on n'arrive pas à prendre l'avantage sur l'autre.
Alors, tu attaques. Moi, j'ai décidé de le faire. Il pousse. Il pousse, tac.
Ouais, mais là, il te coupe pas.
Et il y a trop de pression. Hop, je descends. Après, ça va être un jeu. Alors, ceux-là, ils sont chiants parce qu'ils glissent.
Ouais.
Avec le métal, ça glisse beaucoup moins. Mais en fait, l'idée, c'est vraiment ça. C'est là, puisqu'il pousse, en fait, il va rester. Là, en fait, il glisse, il sort parce qu'on a des gros trucs. Mais en principe, on devrait, idéalement, il est resté là. Et de là, je vais pouvoir travailler. Et là, s'il continue vraiment à pousser, ok, vas-y. Pas de souci.
Ok, c'est bon ça.
Hein, j'enlève la pression. Après, c'est un jeu. En fait, toi, tu as décidé que tu allais faire ça.
Ouais.
Mais si aucun des deux n'avait décidé que vous. En réalité, la situation de départ, elle est équilibrée.
Ouais,
On a la même pression là. Il met de la pression, mais pour être sûr que. Moi aussi, j'en mets pour qu'il ait envie d'en mettre. Et il pourrait lui aussi, là, du coup, décider de le faire le premier. Mais si toi, tu as déjà prévu ça, que tu sais que tu as un adversaire qui va en mettre, ben, tu peux y aller déjà avec cette décision. Et on est toujours dans une situation équilibrée au départ que tu as prévu. Halt! Come back to me. C'est le mien aussi. All right. From what I've seen, it went quite well. So again, it works because there is pressure being applied. So when we are both in the bind, if he stops applying pressure, then yes, it's definitely escaping. And then we had, again, that situation. If he keeps pressing, then he will finish. He's more likely to finish properly in my guards. And again, if he slips, then we know what to do to remove that pressure. At the end, it's really a notion of accepting that you make yourself weak against strong. So, to finish with another one technique in the messer. In the books, with the long sword, there are 4 ways to disarm your opponents. The first one, we all know them, they're typically here. You grab in the middle of the blade, you go around and you wrap it. Then you have that typical also where you go around, you grab between the ends and you have it. But there is one. The third one I mentioned is, again, we're here, we're in the high bind, I go here between, pommel strike, open. And then there is a fourth one that is described in the treatise that says, if your opponent is thrusting at you, because we have seen the first 3, it's always a strike from above. But the fourth one is, if my opponent is thrusting at me, what should I do? See Basler. Now let's look at the Basler, or the messer. The text says, I'm standing in the low guards, maybe my opponent is also in the low guards, and for that position, the first thing that comes to his mind is thrusting at me. And I'll say, yeah, thank you. And on top of that, I like your messer. So he's striking at me, and I'm going to go below the blade. So, but I'm going really with my messer on top of my arm, so that I'm fully protected. We're back to the regular advice, stay behind your cross. But by doing this, I'm freeing my left hand, which I bring towards his hand. And from now, if you see, I was here, I step with my front leg, which bring my hands to distance. Now I'm going to step with my back leg and go around. And then the text says, in a situation where I'm here, I'm probably going to go and cut. But I could also be doing this. Same. Maybe I step a little bit closer this time, and I'm going around, and I'm stepping here. And now you know what's going to follow. I'm going to throw him above my leg. We don't have to throw him, especially not if you have his arm locked, because he's not going to fall nicely. So the idea here, the important things I want you to try is really from this low guard, When the opponent is thrusting, you're really going, you're protected, you have your hands here. And then we can keep it simple. With your step, go around. Get yourself in control of his arm. It doesn't matter which part of the weapon you're gripping. You could be gripping everything the arms. He has everything behind. You'd be gripping here. With the longsword, a lot of time we end up gripping this area here because it's a little bit easier. I'm fully in control of his weapon now. Mine is free. Give it a try.
And please don't make it fall like I did.
Just the last question.
Right, just a moment.
A little bit to make a little bit interesting for me. And like you should tell you that when you make a high thrust, that you turn the edge above. Huh? How does it work with the edge above? Because you're going behind.
Go in again.
Okay.
I'm still going to go around. I'm still going to wrap it. At the end is stepping in. Under cover.
There's no rest that I come with the edge arms. I come behind your arm.
You're behind me because I'm stepping in.
Okay.
That's the idea. If you come behind me, it means I didn't step enough. I really need to get to your arm.
Okay.
All right, give it a try. Thrust. Thrust, Mike.
Okay.
You're going low and you really want to thrust him.
Okay. Wait.
The other way. The other way. I'm here in the low guards. You're standing on me. And then I have.
Ah oui, il avait mis la tête d'abord.
Hein?
Il avait mis la tête d'abord. Il dit ça peut risquer quand même. Il faut me protéger.
Mais là, en fait, l'idée, c'est vraiment sur une estoc. C'est pas sur un coup, c'est sur une estoc.
Les deux, ils marchent de la même.
Peut-être t'es quand même, tu passes quand même l'arme d'abord. Quoi.
Alors, le texte, ouais, après, le texte dit.
Il avait quand même mis la tête avant.
Non, alors ça marchera jamais.
Non, bah ça, c'est parce que je pas réfléchi.
Après, le texte dit vraiment d'aller avec le basilaire posé sur la main. Et tu vas vraiment amener ça. Et ensuite, tu marches. En fait, je suis ici. Et je vais vraiment marcher. Hop. Et ensuite, je vais continuer. Après, ça marche. Si je suis ici, bah, on va essayer. Ouais, si je suis ici, on va essayer d'inverser pour arriver toujours dans la bonne position. Mais après, voilà, c'est toujours le même principe.
Moi, il y a ça aussi d'autres arts martiaux.
Bien
c'est
sûr.
un truc classique. Quoi.
Bien sûr.
C'est un truc qui marche bien.
Mais en fait, je pense qu'il est très commun. C'est ça.
C'est le jeu, tu as une main libre et autres. Là, tu as toujours besoin de protéger, ça vient. C'est vrai qu'on parle très peu du Basel, du DAG suisse, là,
Ouais.
Degen,
Et ça marche très bien avec.
Ah ouais, ça. En plus, c'est court, là, ça va vite.
No, be really stressed at me. This. Oh, he's coming so close to me. Nice. I'm going to have you here. Hug. Yeah, but the idea is really, when he's thrusting, is this. Yeah, so it's not, I'm really getting in my house, I'm under my roof, here. And then I can grab here. And what I do is not grabbing here, is going around rapid.
Okay.
And then here it's cut, do whatever you want with him.
Okay. Wait,
Essaye avec une estoc. Ça marche, c'est plus facile à mettre en place sur une estoc.
Ah ouais, okay.
Bah, en fait, s'il m'attaque vraiment du haut, pourquoi j'irais me mettre comme... C'est un peu compliqué de se mettre là.
Oui, ouais.
Puis en plus, il va presser, enfin, ça va être compliqué. Par contre, sur une estoc, parce qu'il est là, parfait. Ça voulait aller là-bas, je l'ai décalé, maintenant je vais rentrer, hop.
Okay.
Ou là, ou...
Ok, bah,
Alors, c'est pas un coup. On vient pas frapper. C'est vraiment, si tu mets stock, non, je viens pas frapper contre, je viens juste me glisser dessous en venant protéger ma main. Ça me permet d'avancer ma main gauche. Et ensuite, là, maintenant, je vais aller tourner et lui amener des choses, faire ce que je veux, le faire. Voilà. En fait, c'est ici, je suis ici, dans ma garde basse, et en fait, hop, je vais faire ça. Le texte dit vraiment, pose ton basilaire sur ton avant-bras et marche vers ton adversaire. Et là, en fait, tu vas enrouler le bras en faisant suivre le pas suivant. Voilà. C'est ça. Et en fait, selon la distance qu'il aura, dans ton pas, en fait, tu peux soit l'amener directement derrière lui, tu as l'intention de le balancer par terre, ou tu vas l'amener devant, puis dans ce cas-là, il va falloir faire autre chose. Halt! All right. So here, what the text says is that it's good against a thrust. It can also work when I have a nice one, a short one. It doesn't matter. The idea is really my opponent is coming at me with a thrust, and then I'm going to, the idea is really, the text says, rest on your forearms and step to your opponent. Then step again to wrap your arm around his arm, and from there, do whatever you want. Throw him on his back, cut his head. But the idea is really this. I'm stepping inside, always being covered. This is not a strike. I'm not striking against his blade. I'm just going under the roof of my house. All right, let's questions.
Yes, always me. Sorry. What do you prefer? Stay close as a hand, or go over to the elbow?
It depends what I can get. It will, for me, it depends how much my opponent is giving me. Mm-hmm. If it's giving me as little as his hand, then I'm going to go for the hand and no more than that. If he's giving more, then I'll go for more. Yeah. So it's not the preference, it's the circumstances that are going to tell me how much I'm going to get. Okay, thank you. All right, let's shorten up the weapon. Let's do for the last 5 minutes, 5+ minutes we got. We're going to shorten the distance, so please go for daggers. All right, come again. So, with regards to dagger, in Wittenwiler's book, there is a big question for me. What kind of dagger was Wittenwiler using? And it's not very clear. There is no indication in the book, except that the first two techniques are mentioned as strangulating or slicing the throat of your opponent, depending on how you choose to translate the German word abwürgen. One implies definitely edges, the other one not necessarily. And with the dagger, there is only 3 techniques that expressly mentioned with the dagger. And the third one starts with, if your opponent is using a reverse dagger, then also change to a reverse grip, which to me means you have 2 ways to grip your dagger. So let's assume, therefore, because at some point it's showing the reverse grip, that we start with what seems to be a regular grip for him. Means the tip is to your thumb. And here the text says, I don't know what kind of start situation we may have for this. We may be in a situation here, and the text says, if you want to strangulate your opponent, then go with your dagger around his neck, grab the tip of your dagger with your left hand, and pull together. Let's give it a quick try. Yeah, your turn. So go around, grab with your left hand the tip, and pull to you. That way you work him up. Either you slice him or you strangulate him. You'll see the strangulating is quite obvious.
What happens with the dagger of the other one?
Sorry?
And what happens with the dagger of the other one at the same time?
Yeah, I think it works with both. So that's why, but I don't know if there was ages or not. So give it a quick try. No, I'm having this.
The big piece of meat.
The big. This is if I come here.
Ah, maintenant je suis par terre, je me
En fait, c'est la partie compliquée. Il y a pas vraiment, il y a aucune. Il dit juste si tu veux l'étrangler, fais comme ça.
Ouais, t'as la dague de ton élève, tu vois,
Alors toi,
Mais c'est la partie, c'est ce que je dis, c'est la partie qui est compliquée. Je ne sais pas en fait. Mais on pourrait très bien être ici. En fait, dans un duel, on peut être là. Au moment où j'arrive à faire ça, il y a. Il faut que tu aies réussi à le faire avant.
Mais après, ça peut être aussi pour un gars qui n'a pas sa dague, elle n'est pas encore
Peut-être.
Mais là, j'avais la dague.
maîtrise tout de suite et tu
J'avais la dague, j'ai tenté quand tu m'as pris. Et en fait, avec la pression qu'il a mis, j'ai jamais réussi à relever la dague. Donc j'ai peut-être fait une petite raflure, mais je n'ai jamais rentré dans le...
En fait, à partir du moment où c'est pris, que ça commence à bouger,
Tu fais plus rien.
tu n'es plus occupé à ça. Mais enfin, encore une fois, il n'y a pas de circonstances, il n'y a pas de... Because what I suspect, I understand there's something weird. I
We're
fully
always
agree with that.
searching for the
But
right
when
distance.
for me, it's really a matter of I'm here, I'm pulling here,
Yeah.
or I'm pulling at me, so that
We tried it already.
is it will be, and I think it's always a problem. We do it gently.
But if you really pressing on the ground, then maybe
You might break the neck.
Yes,
with the axe.
or do other things. So I think if you don't do it gently,
Yeah,
then you
you're right.
probably have less. But again, I don't know. There is no circumstances on it. Initially, I thought it was rather this issue, which is known in other treaties, in Wallerstein. No, but where you have this grip, which is more powerful for strangling. If fiore, yes. But here, you start with dagger, and then you say if your opponent is using a reverse grip. So means you start like this.
It starts with a reverse grip.
Yeah, but it's a different technique. Where he says if it's your opponent strike, so you with a reverse grip.
Reverse technique, I don't have the...
So I'm assuming he's doing this way. But it's an assumption.
Before talking, I was talking to my sparring partner. When he applies pressure, the pressure is not cutting me.
No, it's not. You need a cut. I agree.
Otherwise,
Yes. Good question, Jay.
C'est une technique que tu vas faire si l'autre il a pas de dague.
Peut-être.
Parce que si tu vas juste comme ça, il a encore sa dague là.
La question c'est pourquoi je fais cette technique-là s'il n'a pas de dague.
C'est une solution.
Je ne sais pas. C'est ce que je disais. Il n'y a pas de, En fait, ce qui peut se passer, c'est qu'on peut très bien arriver là. En fait, là, on l'imagine de loin.
Oui,
Mais on pourrait être là.
Ouais, c'est vrai, on pourrait être
Et là, la dague, elle est là. Et là, je peux arriver et faire ça. Et
Ouais,
là,
puis là, ouais.
et là tu commences à être trop près pour faire des choses.
Ouais. Faut juste essayer de faire des petits.
On ne sait pas comment il se met. Halt! Revenez vers moi! So, as I said, it may sound a bit strange, and I fully agree with you. Because I'm again not 100% sure that's really the way he used to do. But to answer a question I've seen, yes, right now the exercise, we've been doing it from quite far from each other. So yes, I have to come here. He could be thrusting a couple of times. But we could also imagine a situation where we're actually here. So his dagger, and at some points, I'm able to get my dagger behind him. Oh no, I win. I lost the microphone. Tiens.
T'as pas vu l'élément? J'en sais rien. Ben, il doit être, oui, il doit être là, quelque part par là. Ouais, c'est pas gênant, mais. Voilà.
So, we could be in a situation where actually in a very close distance, maybe. I don't know. The text doesn't tell us anything about circumstances. It just says, if you want to strangulate someone, do this way. But what's interesting is actually the text. This is the second dagger technique. So the first dagger technique says, if someone wants to strangulate you, how do you defend yourself against this? You push the elbow together. One above the other. So he's coming at me, maybe we're very close here, he wants to pull at me, at the same time he's doing this, I'm pushing the elbow, one above the other. And from here, I could be continuous stepping, losing the microphone again. So, yeah, let's go, I'll just quickly show you why. The first techniques and the second techniques, he only says if you want to strangulate someone or if someone wants to strangulate you. Second technique says, if you see your opponent use a reverse grip, then also change your reverse grip and wait for him to strike at you. And you block it, and you go around, you have the elbow, and I guess that one sounds quite familiar, because we have all done it with the dagger. So this is the reason why I think probably that in the first two it starts with a straight grip, which if you look in, I think it's in I'm missing the treaty name. There is a couple of times you will find this named in German as Welschgriff. Die Welsh, ce sont les Romans. So the Welsh are the French-speaking Swiss nowadays. So that could be, this is a rather Italian, French way to grip a dagger, and this might be more a German way to grip a dagger. I don't know. In some German sources, they use a specific name for this grip, which refers to the French-speaking area. So might be the case, I don't know. Now I would say 2 minutes breaks, go for a drink, and then we start with even closer distance.
The most interesting part, there are two parts. One, against an opponent who has a dagger, a knife, a baselard. We don't really know. But if he says that it can be dagger, a baselard, or short knife, very likely that your opponent is perhaps attacking you like this. It might also work like this, but it's very likely that techniques, the basic techniques, are with an opponent who grabs, who has a knife, basically. Imagine you have a knife, even though that's more a dagger. So we'll start with these techniques. Just a quick reminder for the position. In wrestling, it's a bit the slight difference, I would say, with the fencing, where we're more on the line. Just imagine you're a bit wider here with your legs, always down on your knees. And then you keep this position for the next 1 hour and 20 minutes, because that's what we'll have to do. Keep this, be ready to get low, always on your knees, and back. Low, back, low. You move like this, keep always your shoulder at the same height. Imagine your opponent can go low, back on the height. But always think about this, that you want to keep your balance on your feet. Okay, so for these exercises, you just need one dagger, knife, whatever, for 2 people. And we'll start with the most basic techniques. These techniques, what I infer from the text is that you're not in a situation when you're fencing or fighting against someone who's really a fencer, who has a very good position like this. It sounds more like would say nearly street fight, because you also see how to prevent your opponent from drawing the dagger. So imagine my opponent here, Emily, wants to hit me on my above left side. That's the easiest one. You see that, I think, in dagger, perhaps this kind of situations. So either like a knife or perhaps with the dagger down. But here I would recommend that we do it like a knife, because if you did Fiore, you know that the first master is you have the dagger here, and you can use it to twist. Here, I don't want you to use the dagger to twist. We might not have this situation, especially against a knife like this. So if she strikes like this, first I have to go out and hit her wrist. I stop, I block really her attack. That's my first move. Then he says that I have to go around, perhaps grab the dagger. I step back and I throw my opponent above my leg. You can just use disequilibrium. We don't need to throw opponents on the floor if they don't agree. You can use a mattress if you really like to, but for sake of time, we just do the mechanics. An important thing, like a block. If I step behind, I really want to go in that direction. I see a friend, I want to go there. And I'm very close here. I'm imposing my structure on my opponent. I don't work like this, otherwise I will fall. I will go close, hip against hip, and use my other arm to help. Important part, last, before you try, is that I control this arm. That's important because if you look like this, we are in the same situation, exactly the same position. If I'm not controlling the arm, she can do exactly what I'm doing. So I can be thrown on the floor. So that's very important, that you keep this arm away from you, perhaps like this first, and then you step. I'll let you try, and then we'll see from the other side. One dagger, one knife. You can use messers if you like, for two people.
Yeah, it's more on the side.
It's really on this side of the buttlock, between the hip and buttock.
So it's not turning too much behind.
Yeah, usually if you feel it's on your butt, it's too far. It's really on the side here that it works.
Cool.
N'oublie pas, ton corps va en même temps que ta jambe. Tu peux, si tu as envie, tu peux. Franchement, vous pouvez prendre si vous voulez. Peut-être qu'il y a bien les mettre ensemble.
Je veux bien que tu me remontes, histoire qu'on puisse faire la technique jusqu'au bout, ça serait cool.
Tu vois, je bloque, je viens là. Après, quand je viens, j'avance complètement en même temps que ma jambe. L'idée, c'est que je suis là. Et je le pousse. C'est le coup de cul. Et il tombe. Ce qui compte, c'est ce coup de cul ici. Et en fait, le truc, c'est surtout que c'est toi qui avances et qui impose ça à ton adversaire. C'est pas je place ma jambe et ensuite je vais venir faire ça. Parce que tu te casses ton dos et c'est lui qui est plus fort. Et il a sa.
Le problème, c'est qu'il est plus grand que moi. Donc ses hanches sont plus hautes.
Oui, alors c'est pour ça. Tu te baisses. C'est ça. C'est vraiment ça. Hop.
Est-ce que ce moment-là, marcher avec j'avais sur le côté de
Je suis allée un peu faire face.
Oui, c'est bien. C'est ça. Pense bien qu'il faut essayer de bloquer, surtout avec ça, c'est presque plus important d'attraper, parce qu'il faut imaginer que ça peut être une énorme brute qui fait comme ça. Voilà.
Tu bloques coup de fléchi plutôt que bras droit. Tu bloques coup de fléchi.
Moi, je bloque comme ça plutôt, ouais, pour entrer en fait. Et déjà très proche parce que tu veux aller derrière, tu veux avancer beaucoup. Ouais, c'est ça. Puis après, tu viens chercher la main. C'est vraiment juste pour bloquer en fait le mouvement.
Mais juste avec un bras. Hein.
Avec le bras, ouais. Il dit de bloquer et ensuite de venir. Pour moi, c'est vraiment l'idée, c'est que tu veux d'abord, avant tout, bloquer pour être sûr.
Mais il précise pas quand tu fléchis. Il précise quand tu fléchis.
Il précise rien du tout. All right. Please come back. So you could see that a very important part is that I go inside, I block here. Also that when I go forward, that with my second step here behind, I have to be very close here, and that my body follows my leg, but it goes at the same time. I'm not doing this. Because that's really the problem sometimes, is that you want to sneak around your opponent and do this, but if she's stronger than me, I want to be able to do this move. No, I have to go straight. I am on my balance, I'm in good position, and my opponent has to be the shape around me. I'm not going to be around my opponent and to fit around her structure. I have to impose my structure on my opponent. So now we saw on that quarter of attack, we see the next one, if that comes from my right. So it could be that my opponent, for instance, struck a first one, I escaped, and she's doing a second one here. That could be a position. So here, if we do this, go inside, cross me my right foot here, and I block with my right hand. Basically, he said that there's one on the left and the other on the right. And here what I do, can again grab my opponent's arm, and I will step here. Put my elbow below the chin, and then throw above my leg. Here, it's the second way of throwing an opponent, the basic, I would say, way of doing it that you see a lot of in medieval wrestling as well. You just defend like this. Again, very important, I'm not doing this, because otherwise I will be thrown. It's a bit stronger than before because we are not in the same situation. She has to step behind or put arms somewhere to throw me. But still, I don't want it to be in the weak position. So again, I'm very close, hip against hip, low on my knees, and then I throw on the back. You can grab your opponent's shoulder here to do it, to help. But the very important thing is that if your opponent resists, you push on the throat. If you're against someone who's stronger than you, that's how it works the best. Because that's weak, whatever happens. You will always be stronger than your opponent's throat. So you push. Please, not too hard here. But that's how it works. And again, you have to be very close to your opponent. It's really your hip against the hip. Not like this. If I'm like this, it doesn't really work. She can escape. So please do again. And just a precision, everything that works on the right works on the left. If you are against someone who is left-handed, just invert. What matters is that you see where it comes. If it comes from one side, you block on the same, with the arm on the same side. And then you do the technique that works the best. It has to be logical. So please.
Let's go.
J'avance.
Very simple.
Après, je passe.
Non.
Non.
Tac, 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 tac.
Ah.
Et tu viens là.
Ok, là.
Tu lui colles un peu le cul et voilà. So yeah, exactly. You have to go really here and you throw above
Can I try again?
above your leg. No, it's he's doing this and this. It's when it comes from the right side you block. Yes. Yeah. Bloc. Là, tu marches bien derrière.
This one?
No, the other one. You want to throw above your left leg.
Like
So
this.
you have to be like this, hip against hip,
Ah, okay.
very close, like bros.
Like this, and I can just like this.
You're never too close to your opponent when you're doing this kind of techniques.
Okay.
The problem is that you're always too far, really. That's a very bro kind of thing, wrestling. Not for everyone. Yeah, it's not for everyone. Non. C'est quand tu bloques. C'est quand tu bloques comme ça. Il faut vraiment imaginer, la technique c'est hyper bête. C'est vraiment, voilà, tu avances en même temps en fait. Ou tu as mis, non avec ça.
Avec celle-là, hein.
Non, mais comme ça pour défendre. S'il attaque côté droit, tu défends comme ça en fait, tu rentres dans le fait qu'il est
Genre dans son système.
là.
Facile, hein.
Ouais, vas-y. Hop, regarde. Et moi je viens juste faire ça. Juste comme ça, puis après je viens juste faire ça en fait. Je viens juste ici, puis ici résiste, j'appuie là, et j'essaie de le balancer par-dessus la jambe.
La main en même temps
Et,
que le pied.
et l'idée c'est toujours d'utiliser ça pour essayer de faire en sorte qu'il ne résiste pas.
D'accord.
Et lui, ce qu'il voudra faire techniquement pour résister, c'est de détendre un peu la jambe comme tu faisais avant, ou autre, soit pousser, soit étendre cette jambe, que je puisse pas, là je peux rien faire.
Ouais.
Mais ça c'est pour après, pour les défenses contre ça. Mais c'est ça l'idée.
D'accord.
Mais c'est vraiment pour les deux techniques. Si on fait à gauche, je fais ça, à droite comme ça. Pas plus compliqué.
Yeah, I was telling him I'm holding him, not just throwing him on the floor.
Yeah.
Because he was like, you are also falling. Yeah, because I'm holding you.
Yeah. Oh, ouais. T'as pas besoin de te faire des... Tu fais pas des fentes comme ça pour faire tomber ton adversaire. Tu restes comme ça plus. Et après tu peux utiliser tes hanches. Si t'es comme ça, tu peux pas pivoter.
Tu l'as laissé traîner.
Ah, ok.
Ça, c'est la défense de celui, c'est lui qui voudrait faire ça. Si jamais il veut se défendre, il peut le balancer, faire ça. Mais si tu vas, il faut rester vraiment bien sur tes jambes pour que tu aies de la mobilité. Si t'es comme ça, t'es pas mobile, tu es déjà dans une position loin. Tu ne peux pas le balancer facilement bien par-dessus. Si tu es comme ça, en fait, si tu es comme ça, tu peux faire après ça pour le balancer. Tu as le droit, tu as ton extension qui est encore libre. C'est juste ça. C'est ça. Puis après, là tu peux faire ton extension comme avant. Mais comme ça, tu l'as en réserve. Tu ne l'as pas déjà utilisé pour aller derrière lui. Ça te permet juste d'avoir ça.
on se posait la question, the question is for the knee position.
Yep.
I'm advocating, maybe I'm wrong.
You want to lock your knee down.
Behind you, I can just push with my knee, like this.
But what's the point? I mean, you mean if you want to throw your opponent?
Yeah. Exactly.
So yeah.
If you attack me,
this.
Do that.
Yeah.
And this. And then I go here.
Because
I do this with the momentum.
That works.
Exactly.
That works.
That's the momentum with the hip. But he wants to do the knee.
So.
That's what I want these days. It's what I do naturally,
so
without thinking.
Vas-y. Tac. Tac.
Du coup.
Yeah, but you're not controlling anything. You're too far. That's the problem. You're never close enough. It's always the hip. The knees, it would work if you do like this, perhaps. Okay. Come back, please. So now you know how to defend against your opponent from above. We quickly see how to do it from below there. So here, it doesn't say anything about left, right. It would be against something like this in the middle, I guess. Really opponent who wants to stab you. So here, we don't exactly know how he blocks, if it's just one hand or two hands. I would go for the two hands version. Because one version, he says you block and you lift with your left. You just step, and again, you know how it works now. So what matters here is that you block really here. You lift so that you can throw your opponent like this. Or the second one. The second one is that he said that you grab with your right hand here, and with your left hand you want to take the dagger. Our idea, I think that was Christophe's idea, it was to go for this. Again, that's an interpretation because he doesn't say more than I would say he pull on the side with your right hand, and you take the dagger with the left one. Again, it doesn't make much sense if you're like this and I try to do this. I'm just killing myself, basically, because I'm taking a dagger next to my... So it doesn't work. So this idea that you take it down a bit on your side, and then you can get the dagger. So these two versions. And in my opinion, it works well if you always block with the two hands, because you're a bit stronger. And then you can choose either the left, you lift, and you go, or with the right, like this. It really depends on how you want to do it, depending on the distance. The second version works well if you're a bit far from your opponent. You don't need to be as close as for the other one. For the first one, you have to go very close. But the other one, if you're far, it still works like this. You don't need to be that close to your opponent. So it might be more efficient sometimes. Let you discover that. So please. Non, pas. Très bien, je pense que on aura le temps avec tout ça. Oui, complètement, c'est comme ça ou comme ça. Ouais. Ça, le problème, c'est qu'il vraiment, il dit rien du tout. Donc, c'est vraiment l'interprétation sauvage.
Ouais, je peux laisser gentil. Ouais. L'autre main. La main droite reste serrée dessus. Et c'est de la gauche.
Non, c'est la gauche qui prend. C'est ça, parce que t'es beaucoup plus efficace comme ça. Voilà. Tu es très efficace parce que en fait, tu utilises le fait que tu tournes, tu tires en bas et en même temps tu arraches. Puis en fait, ça va dans le sens de ses doigts. Tu vois. Ouais.
La deuxième, tu prends la dague comment? Parce que quand je vois quelqu'un d'autre faire chaque fois.
Donc tu viens c'est pour celle où tu veux tirer la dague.
Ouais, oui,
alors tu avances. L'idée c'est que tu contrôles. Oui. Tu contrôles, en fait, l'idée c'est que tu tiens toujours ce bras, que ce soit comme ça, tu tiens ça, et l'autre tu viens chercher la dague.
Mais comme ça?
Moi je la viens, ouais, comme ça, n'importe. Et en fait l'idée c'est juste que si tu tires en bas, le tout.
En tournant.
Tiens, attends, vas-y, je le fais contre toi. Donc moi tu viens bloquer par exemple comme ça, si tu veux que ce soit plus efficace. Et tu viens ici, tu tires en bas, puis tu tires la dague, bêtement parce que tu tires tout en bas au même moment. Et tu suis les doigts. L'idée c'est que tu veux juste passer par là où c'est mou. Et si tu veux dès le début que ça fonctionne bien, tu peux aller bloquer comme ça, bien sûr.
Ah, mais tu tires vers le bas, donc je me comprends.
Tu tires bien vers le bas, s'il veut pas, tu bloques.
Mais plutôt comme ça, du coup.
Non, tu fais vraiment comme ça et tu tires vers le bas. Tu es tout droit vraiment. Il faut que ce soit tout droit pour les doigts.
Ouais.
Et l'autre bras, tu le maintiens en fait. L'idée, c'est que justement, c'est qu'il n'arrive pas à suivre, parce que sinon il va suivre comme ça. Donc tu le maintiens vraiment droit, le plus droit possible, et après il va lâcher. Voilà. Et tu peux t'aider. Typiquement, tu peux t'aider de l'aisselle, comme ça. Et tu descends un peu. One way to make it a bit easier is that you already block the hands like this. Because the point is that if you're like this, it's harder to...
So I should be like this?
It helps, because otherwise it's hard to keep a grip on the opponent's arm. Again, like you were doing, it might work like this. We don't really know, that's the point. Yeah. We don't know. You just say you control with the right hand and you take with the left.
Like this?
Yeah, and then you pull down. Yeah, and that's it.
That's easier.
Yeah, that's easier, because you can really... Yeah, you really pull the opponent's arm like this, and it just follows from the fingers out. L'idée, c'est d'avoir le bras en bas. Si tu essaies de prendre. Ouais, bah sur l'épaule, tu auras intérêt à essayer de faire un. Comme ça. Tu peux tenter. Contre moi, ça fonctionnerait. C'est vraiment de l'avoir en bas. L'idée, c'est ça. C'est que tu tires le bras en bas. Et là, en fait, à gauche, tu peux prendre la dague facilement, n'importe quand, parce que tu suis juste les doigts. Et c'est ça. Et s'il résiste trop, tu descends et tu plies un peu son bras. Comme ça, il se retrouve là, comme ça. N'hésite pas à utiliser la hauteur et à le tirer en bas, comme ça. Vraiment en bas. Il faut vraiment tirer le bras en bas et tirer la dague naturellement de ce bras étendu. Voilà. Et justement comme ça, quand il a le bras étendu, au bout d'un moment, il ne résiste plus, il lâche la dague.
Where you grab the
Yeah.
both hands outside. Is it meant for Wandeldagger? Do you know?
We don't know for what it's meant.
Because grabbing it like very specific down here, the requires a lot of precision.
Yeah, again, it works. He doesn't say how you grab the other. My opinion is just what matters is that you control the opponent's arm like this and grab what he has in the hand, because you're controlling it, you're pulling, and you get down. And after a while, it's yeah, sure. So I do like this, this, and then whatever you have, I will be able to grab it or to try to grab it because I want to take it out of your fingers. Yes.
The problem I'm having with this is like the longer you take, the more
sure.
I have to basically do that.
The idea is that to be very quick. Yeah. You can imagine if you do it that very fast.
Yeah. I prefer the first method, to be honest.
Yeah.
The first one is, first of all, it's safe.
Oh yeah.
Because you go with two hands like on
this, and that's it works well
method.
if you want to go really quickly. The other one you can imagine is that if your opponent is a bit long, he says that if your opponent is like this, what you do is that you retreat and you take the dagger. But you imagine someone who's really a bit offering you the weapon, and you're taking like this, because he's too straight. He is going too far in a way. Again, you never know. In my opinion, you're not fighting against someone who knows how to fight with a knife.
But to be honest, if I want to kill you with a dagger, I'm
yeah,
like,
exactly.
Servus, how are you?
That's it. To me, you're not in this kind of situation. It's someone who's not used to fence or anything. He just has a dagger on, threatening you, or you never know.
Like,
you don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to defend against a knife, to be honest.
You know what we need for sparring? We need a bullet target.
Yeah. Okay. Please come back. So now we saw the basic difference against what's come from above and from below. You're already kind of protected. Then Wittenwiler, interestingly, presents two other situations that you don't see usually in treaties on dagger, because the basic assumption is that the opponent already has a dagger and is threatening you, ready to fence, I would say, with the dagger. But Wittenwiler describes two techniques. One, to prevent your opponent from drawing the dagger or the knife. Another one, when he already did it and hasn't strucken you yet. We do first the defense against someone who already drew the dagger and wants to perhaps then stab you. We don't know if the opponent drew like this, from which side. We see that afterwards against defense to prevent the opponent from drawing a knife. But if she just did, she hasn't threatened me yet. So I go here and I grab her wrist. Either she drew like this or like this, I don't know. It doesn't really matter. What's interesting is that he says really big grip. You have a grasp on your opponent's wrist. For the first techniques, when the opponent was striking you, you would first block like this. Perhaps because your opponent is very strong, really wants to hurt you. Here, the opponent hasn't done this move yet. She just drew a dagger, and I go like this. And then he says you can take the dagger or take the knife and do the same throw as before.
Always the same.
So again, I can do that in this system because she's not striking me for the moment. She has little strength here. So I can go around, he says, to go around and take the knife. Again, it works against an opponent who's not perhaps ready and very convinced, keeping his weapon very strongly. That might be hard to take it just like this. Again, you're certainly not fighting against someone who's very used to fight with a knife. That's not really my opinion when you read the techniques. It can be really someone, a drunk guy in the street, who takes a knife and wants to do this. Imagine you have a drunk person in front of you with a knife and try to defend like this. And perhaps do it also if your opponent is left-handed from the other side. It's really the same. I re-aim for the wrist and grab it, take it if I can. Again, what matters is that you control, and then throw your opponent. We do that for 2 minutes, and then we go to preventing your opponent from drawing a dagger, which will take a bit longer. 2 minutes. Tired? Yeah. 45 minutes more. Good. You were already attacking her because you're already at a long distance. That's too late for you to do this. Imagine you're a bit closer because you should be able to prevent him from hitting you.
So as I start drawing, you start following
Yeah, that's it. And then it looks a bit like Fiore because you have this control. You can take it if you like this, and then you step, and you throw your opponent. Yeah, or stab or whatever. But you have this idea that you prevent your opponent. He hasn't hit you yet.
We're like, when I'm having a conversation.
That won't work.
Exactly.
Just forget it.
I wonder
Just try to make
Because
it
it's
clear why.
useless. Then I'm here, and that's the only thing I can do.
Yeah.
I can do this because he's stronger than me.
Okay.
I can do only this, or perhaps this. But it's not very efficient because he's very strong here. Here he's not. That's why you want to aim.
You're basically making use of your strongest muscles on that.
Okay.
C'est une autre technique. C'était pas ça. En fait, lui il dit que tu es censé le prendre avec la main gauche. Une fois de plus, il dit pas comment. C'est là où ça devient un peu ésotérique, on va pas se mentir. Tu bloques avec la main gauche en l'attrapant. Vraiment comme le premier mètre de Fiore, tu fais ça. Et ensuite, tu essayes. Pour moi, l'idée, c'est que tu essayes ce truc de tourner, d'attirer un peu la main, et tu viens vraiment projeter comme on l'a fait au tout début.
Il y a un truc de Fiore où il fait un désarmement dans cette situation avec la main gauche, mais par contre, il va faire un contrôle du bras avec le bras droit. Il fait main gauche, puis
Oui. Non, tu as l'autre, effectivement. Chez Fiore, tu peux venir comme ça. Là, c'est vraiment très basique, on va dire, comparé. Et il n'y a pas des chiffres de précision, donc il fait un peu essayer. What that's supposed to be?
The drunk attacking.
Okay.
Because he said the person might be drunk.
Yeah.
I was playing
But
the drunk like.
yeah, but you're drunk, but you're taking first. You're drawing your weapon.
Yeah.
That's what matters.
But it takes too long.
Yeah, and then you grab really. It's like Fiore. You grab the wrist like this, and then if you're moving, you can try to slide a bit and take the weapon. Again, he doesn't say really how you should take the weapon. He just say you grab, you go around, and you take the weapon.
Okay.
He doesn't say how.
Okay.
So I have to say I'm not that convinced that you can take it very efficiently.
So can we take
but you can control at least.
But basically this would work as well. Like
Yeah.
That's also taking the
That works
dagger.
perfectly well. He has very basic techniques. That's thing, but for sure it works.
Okay, so it's just taking the dagger with it.
Yeah. Okay, let's go back. We'll finish on that part against knife, dagger, or whatever short and sharp weapon your opponent has, how to defend with your bare hands. The last part, which I find interesting, is that he says, okay, how you prevent your opponent from drawing the knife first. That's what makes me also think that you're not already in this dueling situation with an opponent who's ready to fight you. That's already too late. She knows how to fight. I won't go there with my bare hands if she's like this. Definitely I won't do that. Here, the difficulty is twofold. First, she has two legs, which means that she can either have the left or the right in front. Then, second difficulty, I don't know from which side is her knife. Because the idea is that I have to block with my hand, and then, depending on how I am, I will throw my opponent using the two techniques we saw at the beginning from the left and right. If she's like this, certainly I will do it with my left hand because she's drawing from her right, and I want to go in front. If I'm doing this, the difficulty is that it's hard for me to step here. I'm weak. I have my arm is going across my chest. That won't help. I'm not strong. She will throw me. So in this situation, I will block with my left, and then, very simple, I step behind, go with my elbow under her chin, and throw. If you garde ta jambe gauche devant. The same, but she's drawing from the other side, perhaps. Here might be, you can have more choice. Either you do the same, because I can step behind and throw. What matters is that I want to step behind this leg. That's the first thing I have to think about. I will have to step behind with one of my legs, and then figuring out which arm I should use, not to have to go across my arm, not to be blocked by my own arm. So here, go with my left, again, or with my right. My right, I do like this, and then I just step. From the other side, avec ta jambe droite. Here, again, I have the choice, either with my left and right, or with my right, and then I step. This one is a bit stronger, because I can really push, and then this throw is a bit more efficient because we're not in a parallel situation. I'm strong, she cannot throw from this position. From the other one, here, again, she's in the same situation. She can definitely, if I'm not good for that, I don't step I'm like this, I'm too far, she will take the advantage. So if you can, it's better to go like this. But again, depends on the situation, how quick you be. So first, identify which leg, which means that you have to think where I want to step with either of my legs, and then see where the dagger is coming from. I want to block, but I definitely don't want, the only thing I don't want to do is that I don't want to block on that side and then go on the other one. I don't want to have my arm across my chest. So think about that and try the different situations, because everything is possible. And you can do left-handed, that's the same. What matters is really that you have to figure out where is your opponent, where you have to step, and that you don't want to go with your arm across your chest. That's the only rule. So try these two, always the same throws as in the beginning.
C'est spécifique à la dague ou bien parce que je verrais bien ça sur un masseur typiquement.
Non, masseur.
Enfin, tu vois.
N'importe quoi.
Parce que là,
un couteau.
Là, t'emmerdes bien justement.
Ouais.
Tu vois, t'emmerdes bien.
Ça, il allait sortir son
ça marche très très bien. Ouais. Ça marche avec n'importe quoi.
Pas mal du tout, parce que là...
Tu peux le faire avec n'importe quoi en fait, qu'il essaye de tirer d'un côté, de l'autre, comme ça, comme ça.
Les dagues, des fois, elles sont devant, derrière, enfin, tu vois moins, des fois, mais
Les dagues, elles sont soit là, soit là, soit là.
D'accord.
Mais une dague du milieu, ça marche aussi, tu fais ça.
Pour un messeur, c'est pas mal. Parce qu'un messeur, là, tu l'emmerdes bien, parce que il a toute la longueur à sortir.
Typiquement, ma dague, si j'ai ma dague à elle sera là.
C'est ça.
Ah, tu auras là, oui.
Quelque chose. Du coup, ma dague, elle risque d'être là.
D'accord.
Ou si c'est une petite dague que je porte parce que ça fait joli, en général, elles sont portées devant.
Et ça. Ça marche. Et ça marche. Et c'est même plus facile s'il a devant parce que tu as le choix. Quel que soit. Ce qu'il faut, c'est juste ça.
La décision que tu dois prendre.
C'est ça, d'éviter ça.
C'est la jambe.
Si c'est ça, tu dois faire ça.
Voilà. C'est ça.
Si c'est ça, tu peux aller faire l'autre.
Ouais, moi, je veux pas te faire tomber.
L'idée, c'est vraiment.
L'idée, c'est de savoir.
Si c'est ça, il faut venir là, quoi. On est d'accord.
Complique la vie. En fait, après, le plus simple, c'est de me faire.
Messing up my goal.
Also, imagine that if you want to prevent your opponent from drawing a dagger, you have to be a bit close. If you're already far, I'm very sure he will be quick. You will just do this. So you can imagine you're really in this situation already. Oh,
holy cow.
Then do it because you're very close. It's easier like this, but that's also a constraint on what you can do because usually you just go for the side where you are.
Yeah, like we're in the pub. I don't like what you said.
I go like this. But I'm very close, it helps. If you're far, of course, you will draw your dagger first and I'm dead.